Yo guys, what's going on? This is Harry Talks Movies and TV, and this is my list for all the 2021 Marvel releases. That includes shows and movies. I'm going to be including spoilers in this video, so watch out for that, and I hope you guys enjoy. Alright guys, so we're going to be starting this list from least enjoyed to most enjoyed. This is just my personal opinion. This is just based on enjoyment. It's not like from a critical standpoint. It's just how much I enjoyed it. So we're going least from worst, and the one I enjoyed least was So part of the reason I put this show at the bottom of the list is because it's animated. It's hard to get into it, and I like the way it's animated, but it's very hard to get into an animated show. Like, it just doesn't feel canon, even though they've said it is. Like, you know, it's different timelines. It's just hard to get into it, and I wasn't all that thrilled with the episodes. There was like two that I really enjoyed, and that was episode 4 and 5, which was the Doctor Strange episode and the Zombies episode. And other than that, it just filler, was boring stories that did not entertain me, you know. It just felt subpar from what I would expect from the MCU. It just did not have what it could have had. You know, the potential of the show was huge, but I feel like they kind of missed the ball with it. And you know, it's cool to have these little sort of things, but I feel like they just dropped the ball with it, and it is not what I expected it to be, and not what I hoped it would be. It's just, you know, basic stories that don't really have any effect on the larger MCU. Next up in 8th place we have Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This show was disappointing. Honestly, like, it could have been so much better. There's so much more they could have done with it. It feels like they didn't go in depth enough with the characters. They just focused mainly on the legacy of Steve, and it felt like they were bringing up Steve every episode, and like, I feel like they needed to move away from that and sort of get its own identity, which I understand it was trying to sort of capitalize on the sort of vibe of Winter Soldier and Civil War, but I feel like it didn't really succeed at that. I also don't like how they tried to make Carly sympathetic, like she was a terrorist. She blew up a building full of people, and you know, some of the people were innocent, I'm pretty sure. You know, the show wasn't all bad. There was one, I liked episode 4, that was about it. Episode 2 and 4, I really enjoyed, because John Walker is the best thing about the show. John Walker was a terrific character. I'm really excited to see where he goes. I'm excited to see, you know, a new Captain America, which is Sam, but it just felt like, you know, generic MCU kind of stuff with a basic villain and a basic plot line and nothing really new and exciting in it. It just, I just feel like they wasted Zemo's character, but, you know, he was good, but he felt a bit of wasted potential. But yeah, I liked 2 episodes, that's it. But the rest of the show was just disappointing, and I feel like they could have done so much more. So for that, it's in 8th place. Next up in 7th place is Black Widow. I really liked this movie. I know in my review I overhyped it a lot, but I recorded that video the night that I saw it, so obviously I didn't give it time to see it. And after rewatching it a few times, I realized I enjoy it. I really like it, but it is generic MCU stuff that, you know, we've already seen it, but generic MCU stuff. Nothing really exciting or new or unique about it. That doesn't mean it's not a good movie. I think this is a good movie. I enjoyed it a lot when I saw it, and I enjoy rewatching it. Taskmaster obviously was a flop. They completely, you know, botched that villain. Not just because they changed the gender, which I don't really care about, but they literally made Taskmaster just like someone else's lackey, just someone else's bodyguard, sort of, you know, attack dog. It's Taskmaster's their own character. And they should be treated like that, but they weren't. They were treated like someone's, you know, lackey, which I didn't appreciate. But other than that, you know, this movie was great because it introduced a lot of new great characters. Like Yelena was definitely the best character in this movie, and Red Guardian was awesome, and Melina wasn't that great, but she was still good. She was still, you know, enjoyable. I feel like Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson, was sort of outshined in her own movie, but that doesn't mean she was bad in this movie. She was perfectly good in this movie. It's just I feel like she was outshined. The action in this movie is great, but yeah, overall just generic MCU stuff that we've basically seen before with a few new cool things. Alright, next up in 6th place we've got Shang-Chi, sorry. It's going to surprise a lot of people that I put it this low on my list, because for a lot of people this is their, you know, in the top 3 of the 2021 Marvel releases, but for me it just did not hit me like it hit other people. It was enjoyable. I thought it was great. I liked it better than Black Widow. I think it's great. Like, it's to the point where it's great. The action is maybe top tier martial arts action. It's a good, I really enjoyed this movie, but it just didn't hit me like it hit everyone else. I feel like it was, you know, it was a great origin movie. It was great at everything it did. I can't really think of anything they did too badly, other than sort of, you know, the formula, the Marvel formula, which is what this movie uses. Because it's an origin movie, I suppose they kind of have to. But it's, they used the generic Marvel formula, which is good, and it works good here. This is an example of why it can work good. But again, this is new and exciting, but it's just, you can feel that formula. You can feel sort of the same type of, the way the story moves is the same type of way that the other movies have moved. And that doesn't mean it's not good, it just means it's nothing that really stuck with me. I thought this is a great movie and the characters are great, and I really enjoyed this movie, but it just didn't hit me as hard. It hit me as the same way it hit other people. Alright, next up in the top 5, in 5th place, we've got Eternals. I love this movie. I wanted to wait to make this video until it came out on Disney Plus so I could watch it again, and I've now watched it again, and it's just solidified my opinion that I loved this movie. I know a lot of people did not. It got like 50 on Rotten Tomatoes from the critic score, and I do not understand why people don't like this movie. I think it's amazing. I like the huge scale of it. I think it works well. The characters are interesting. I like all these characters, you know, like they've done a good job at making me care about them and like them. Ikaris is a fantastic character. Obviously we're meant to hate him, which, you know, for the purposes of the story we don't like him, but like, he's an amazing character. His conflict, his own self-conflict with, you know, hurting his family and friends for something that he believes in. It's just, I think he was a great character. I think they sort of, the thing that I think they missed the ball with was Cersei's character, as she was a little bit generic. It didn't really have much special about her, and that's probably my only criticism. The visuals in this movie are fantastic, absolutely amazing, and that's because of Chloe Zhao, the director. She did Nomadland, which I love, and the visuals in this movie are amazing. It's definitely the best part of this movie is the visuals. My standout Eternals are definitely Makkari and Jurek. They were fantastic. Makkari is probably my favourite. Just the way they depict her speed is amazing, and her character was really fun and lively, and it was just a really awesome movie that I really, really loved. I think it was just great, and the visuals were perfect. Next up is Hawkeye. I loved this show. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I think it was fantastic. It was a beautiful, you know, Christmas story. It was fun. It was lighthearted. It had depth. It was, you know, it was a fun Christmas event. You know, watch it through the Christmas season up until Christmas, and it was a really good. It had a really good vibe to it. I loved the story. I love what they did with Clint. I loved how we got to see him sort of grieving Natasha. He just wanted to be with his family the whole time. That was great. Kate Bishop is obviously the standout. She was fantastic. I'm so excited to see where she goes. Hailee Steinfeld is fucking amazing. I did not think she'd be this good, but she's so charming, and the Kate Bishop character is awesome. If I had one criticism about this show, it would probably be the ending. The finale didn't land for me. It was a little anticlimactic, but again, what can you really expect with the shows, as they've got like a smaller budget to work with, and, you know, a longer overall runtime. But yeah, the ending was a little anticlimactic, but that's my only criticism. I thought, oh no, and one other criticism I would have was the character of Maya, Echo, the one who's getting her own show. I felt like I didn't really care much about the character enough to watch her show, which I would definitely watch it because it's a Marvel show, but I feel like they didn't do a good job of making me care about that character. The action in this show was great. That action sequence in episode 3 was fantastic. This show was great, light-hearted, had a lot of depth, was fun. It just did almost everything right, and I really, really had a great time watching it. In my top 3, in my 3rd place, we have Loki. Loki was fantastic. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. 2021 has been a great year for Marvel. I've loved most of the things that have come out, and and the thing that made me love this show was Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson's dynamic. I thought it was so fantastic, and the whole sort of vibe and environment of the TVA. That was an awesome corner of the MCU for them to introduce. I love the one standout part of this show that I really love is the music done by Natalie Holt. That was fantastic. The theme of this music is just, the theme of this show is really, really incredible, and it's so amazing to listen to. I loved this show. Tom Hiddleston is a fantastic actor. If I had one criticism, it would probably be the character of Sylvie. I still like the character, but she probably was not as essential as she she didn't really need to be here. I feel like their romance was sort of shoved in, which the only thing I don't like about the show is the romance between Loki's character and Sylvie, because they're basically the same person. It feels like it was just, shoved in there, and we didn't really need a romance story in a time travel detective show. But, other than that, the show was fantastic. I loved getting to explore Loki's character more. I loved the vibe of the TVA, everything about the TVA I love. Owen Wilson is fantastic, and that's why this show is amazing, and I loved it. Coming in at 2nd place, we have the show that started the year off for Marvel. It was the first Disney Plus show that they released, first Marvel Disney Plus show that they released, and that was WandaVision. The show was fantastic. I love it. It's literally it's in my top 10 of all Marvel projects, because it was just so fantastic. The week-to-week speculation on this show after every week, and the mystery was just a vibe and an era of last year. It was a year ago today that it came out, the first episode release, or the first 2 episodes, and just the vibe that I had and the mystery that I had week to week, waiting, speculation. The show was the show had an era of its own, and it was amazing. It was phenomenal. The performances are incredible. I think Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen were both nominated for Emmys for this show, which just tells you all you need to know about their performances. The show was amazing. I love getting the character depth with Wanda, how they represented it through the 5 stages of grief. I'm so excited for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness to see where she goes next. Catherine Hahn, Agatha, was amazing. She was a really fun character. I liked Monica. She was really, really cool. Not Randall. I was going to say Randall Park, but I mean Jimmy Woo and Darcy Lewis were really awesome additions to this show. They had some comedic elements. They nailed the sitcom. I want to say Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany really nailed the sitcom style of the eras that they were trying to replicate, and they did it perfectly. This show was amazing. My one criticism is the finale was a little bit lackluster, but I still really enjoyed the finale. It's my only criticism, is that the finale was a little bit lackluster. Other than that, I absolutely loved this show. My number 1 spot for 2021 Marvel releases is, you know what it is, it's Spider-Man No Way Home. This movie is absolutely incredible. I know I use that word a lot throughout this video, but it's incredible. It's so good. I was really worried about this movie because I thought that, we all knew that Tobey and Andrew were going to be in it, but I thought that would sort of detract from Tom Holland's Spider-Man and all the villains and stuff. I thought it would detract from actual Spider-Man and a story about Spider-Man. I thought it would just make everyone focus on the villains and focus on Andrew and Tobey, but that's not the case at all. This is Spider-Man's movie. This is Spider-Man's movie, and you can tell. It's the thing this movie, the stuff this movie puts him through, like spoilers, the death of Aunt May, and nobody knows who he is anymore. It's just incredible, and I love the end of the movie, how they make him Spider-Man. He's not Iron Boy Jr. anymore. He's Spider-Man. That's fantastic. Okay, I'm going to talk about the fan service stuff now. Tobey and Andrew coming in, my theatre roared and cheered. My theatre never does that. I've never seen them do that other than in Endgame, because I live in Australia and that just does not happen here. But it happened this time, and it was such an electric environment to be in. It was so amazing. A Green Goblin as the villain is so incredible. I've seen people saying he should get a supporting actor nomination for the Oscars. I don't think he should, but he was fantastic, but I don't think it was Oscar worthy. But I thought it was great. They just handled it so well. And I'm so excited for the future of Spider-Man. Doctor Strange was a great addition. It makes me more excited for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, especially because the trailer was attached to this movie. It just was so good. Doc Ock was amazing coming back. Everyone in this movie was at their A game. And this movie is top tier Marvel. And I'm so excited to watch it again. I only got to watch it 2 times in the cinemas. I'm so excited to watch it again. This is one of my favourite Marvel movies Marvel have ever done. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you guys in the next one.